last note and hear the end of the low note before the octave, if I can hear that last 16th note, longer, da da da. That's it. There you go. Yeah, and so again, that's a kind of a refocusing mentally, and it's towards the end of the excerpt, so what's likely to happen is you're not physically tired, you're getting a little bit mentally uninvolved, and that's where you have to fight back mentally. And that makes the difference between great players and good ones, you know, is the ability to perform on the hot seat, you know. And so you just have this image of that. And you know what's going to happen, you know. Very good, very good. Now, just a hint. You know what comes next in the music?
Strings.
Well, for trumpet.
Yeah, put a second person.
Nope. One of the hardest licks in the piece. It's muted. Practice that lick every time you do the opening.
Okay.
Because it's a tricky. I haven't done it in a while, but boy, when you have to play that piece, that lick comes up at you, and it's fast. And you have to hear it, and you'll never get asked for it on an audition, but in the orchestra, and it's muted, and it's loud, and it happens like that.
Okay.
You know? So that's an important little tidbit to remember. And I just had fun playing it. I used to do it all the time, and when it came up in the orchestra, it just wasn't hard. But I haven't done this in a long time, so. But the hard part about that is singing it. Ba ba ba. You know, to hear that interval and then the half step. Ba ba da 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 dum. And it's fast. So, and it's very awkward. So just be aware of that, you know. And then of course you have the other stuff to play with the section, and there's a lot to this piece. So, you know, always look at the whole piece, not just the opening. So, all right. So what else do you have to play in this audition?
Would you like to hear Haydn or another excerpt?
Let's jump to Haydn. Make sure that's coming. You know, I did Haydn because I knew I was going to have to play it on an audition, and I played it on a jury, and the same day I won the first audition I took, and I had to play Haydn, and it just worked out that way. So something good to always keep under your fingers, because Haydn, Hummel, people like make sure you work. Are you pushing in or pulling out?
Pushing a little bit.
Pushing in? No, I mean don't. We need to have something relative to here. Try there. the best players I've heard do this. I'll never forget, I was in an audition once, and I was sitting on the other side, and someone was playing Haydn or Hummel, I can't remember which one it was, and the guy next to me, one of the other trumpet players in this section, he passed me a note, and he said, I would pay to hear this. And it was just a single trumpet with no orchestra or no piano or anything like that. And I started thinking, what does that mean? Why? You know? And he brought the whole orchestra to life. It was Mark Inouye, principal of San Francisco Symphony, that we wrote this. And there's something about, and so how can you do that as an individual voice? Well, that's the secret that you search for, okay? So there's a sense of rhythm, there's a sense of articulation, there's a sense of line. You know, just like you would take a book and read a sentence. You're not going to read a sentence like, I walked to the store and bought some candy. You know, you can say that in so many different ways. I walked to the store and bought some candy. Or I walked to the store and bought some candy. Every different way you say it has a different connotation of the meaning. You could be excited about it, you could be bored about it, you could be just making a statement, but everything has a meaning. I think you've got to find some meaning about this. So what's the meaning of this piece? Why do we still play it 1700, or 1803, or 1797, I think it was. Why are we still playing this 215 years later?
Because it's an important piece.
Why?
It's the first piece that played chromatic.
Well, it was basically a showpiece for a new instrument, a keyed bugle, okay, that had chromaticism in it. So this is a piece for two trumpets, okay? The old trumpet, which was military, all right, and it has lots of things just like that. Very diatonic, okay? And then it's a demonstration of the new technology of, and I think you got to get really involved in that stuff. You know, you've got to be changing the character. That's kind of like saying, but I'm still really a trumpet. You know, and I think you have to get really excited about it yourself. And so when you have, and it's like, wow, trumpet can play that half step. And then he does it again just to make the point. Sorry. You know, and so there's got to be something in your demonstration that you got to show. Let's try. Let's try to get something to demonstrate. It's good. It's lacking linear direction. Bum, bum, ba, 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 and I think it's a tempo thing. I think it's a groove thing. You know. Let's try it a little faster and a little bit more. Yeah, it's classical, it's light, it moves. That's it. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba. Now, bring out the chromaticism. Now, it's still a trumpet. Now, how do you make that more clear? Say it.
Top, 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 top,
Is
top.
that clear?
No.
Say it.
Top, 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 top.
Is that clear?
Top, 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 top,
So
top.
it's kind of a weird octave to sing it. To, 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 to. There's something,
Top, 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 top,
there's
top.
something you have to do to make that super clear. To the first and second note.
Top, 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 top.
Well, you're not doing it yet with your voice. You got to shorten the first note, and you got to accentuate the second note. To, 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 to. Think of a violin. Now, a violin, if they went ya da 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 da, it wouldn't have that character. It would be yum. Think of it fast down. Yum da ga dum, yum da ga dum.
To, 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 to,
Play it like that. To, 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 to. One little thing, have your valves down. That's better. Even shorter the first note. There you go. Now, I'd rather you hear that character rather than think about shortening this, or just play it the way you would imagine a snare drummer play it. Do that. That's the idea. So let's go back. Trumpety. So you gotta work on that. That second note has to be super clear. Okay. Ha. Think of a word. I'm going to play this grade. Say it.
I'm good.
See? The going doesn't have clarity. I'm going to play this grade.
I'm going to play this grade.
I'm going to play this grade.
I'm going to play this
Make
grade.
the G more prominent. I'm going to play this grade.
I'm going to play.
I'm going to play this grade.
I'm going to play this grade. I'm going to play this
Yeah, see
grade.
what I hear is I'm going to play. I'm going, or I'm going to play this grade. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Play it. Just think of it as 2. Pick it up. There you go. Okay, let's keep going. Hear it? Sing it? You sure? There you go. 2, 3, 4. All right. Play it. 2, 3, and 1. See? Ah. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4. Bring out that half step and that's it. 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now, just for the purposes of not being afraid of the C to D trill. C to D trill is not one of our favorite things to do, so. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. Here's your sheet. Buzz that note on your lips. Okay? Buzz it down an octave on your lips. Use those lips. Mentally put it, the pitch where it belongs, but use those lips. See, we often will look at a pitch and we'll have a reaction. And that reaction is more often than not too tense. And it actually, look at this trumpet. It's a smaller trumpet. Let it do the work. You don't have to do that much work. So let's think of it down like. Go. Use those lips and play the pitches with mentally so you get there with the air. Doesn't that feel different?
Yep. Sure.
it feels closer, smoother. You know, there's something about, again, 90% of what I get to do is show people to do less. You know, and there's something about us when we see a pitch and we hear a pitch, we have this reaction. We go, and we grab it, and it often works. But it's only when we have little things like these C to D trills, which, you know, if it's not really efficient, we're going to start to feel it. We're going to avoid making the trill like musically like we want because we know it's not going to come out smooth. So there are little adjustments we have to make. So how about, let's take that same thing here. Let's take that. Very good. Yeah. Now, that's an octave scale, which a lot of people can't even do on their lips. Let me make a suggestion to you. I think that's even too much change. All right? I think let's convince ourselves that the air will make all those notes. All right? Just like everybody tells us. So how would we practice it? Let's keep the G. Keep those lips, sing, and make the notes happen. What's different?
Everything just feels closer together.
Feels closer. What about the sound?
All sound better.
Why?
It's more centered, and I'm not trying to reach for stuff. It's just
Less effort, right? More core. There's something that's better. Something that sounds, for lack of a better way to say it, professional. Highest quality. You know, there's something about that, a quality of attack.